Hello everyone, it's Bernard here, and as promised, today I'll show you the new Kill Team datasheets, at least those two we know. So for the Tempestus Aquilon Kill Team and for the Vespids Stingwings Kill Team, and I think they are great. They made me even more hyped than the core rules themselves because they're absolutely fantastic. I think that this edition will be very, very killy, and those rules seem to, well, basically confirm it. Let's talk about the rules, starting with the Vespids, because I know this is a small thing, but they seem so scary in combat that, and I'm so excited about playing against them, that I'm spending all my free time analyzing how to, counteract them. Yeah. Here are the rules. Here we can see the composition a little better. So as we can see, we obviously take one leader. So the strain leader, we don't have any options for him. No war gear options, nothing really. So we just have to take him as is. And honestly, he's the only one that disappoints me a little in the skill team. Disappoint is a little strong word. Compared to the rest, he's nothing special. He has his regular +1 to wound, a little better in fighting, and Communion Helm probably helps a little, but we will discuss Communion points in a moment. So we take one leader, one drone, the oversight drone. There is no option to, take a drone or another Stingwing. You just have to take it. Okay. And then we take 8 Vespid Stingwings from the list. And what's really important is that none of those specialists are mutually exclusive. So you can make all the specialists, obviously you then take all the rest of the guys as a warriors, and you will still have one guy spared. So even if some specialist turns out to be subpar, which probably will mean that he'll be nerfed in the future, because for now they all look at least very, very usable, you will have a spare warrior. So that's actually nice for the skill team. I wish there were more options, because I'm the guy who really likes tinkering and creating his own super lists the way he really wants. But yeah, it's also very liberating to just be able to build everything as is and enjoy really cool operatives. The Shade Strain, he's my personal favorite, or rather I should say my personal nightmare, so we will get to him in a moment. The faction rules for the Vespids are, interestingly, containing Fly, which is no longer a universal rule, so I guess if a kill team uses Fly, it will be explicitly stated in their rules. Basically, Fly works that instead of moving, instead of making normal move, you can declare you're flying, and you just pick up your Vespid and place it horizontally within their normal move range. You can obviously dash with Fly, and you can't combine them with charge. So, I mean, you can fly to charge, I believe, but it won't improve your distance. So even if you have to, I don't know, climb, I guess you can declare the flight to benefit from some keyword abilities if there are any, because I believe that they gain some abilities when they fly. The Neuron blasters, all Neuron weapons actually get pretty scary when you use Fly. And yeah, the next rule is the neutron charge, not neural. Neutron weapons are weapons that have the word neutron in them, so it basically means every single weapon Vespids are equipped with. I believe even the Flamer is a neutron weapon. And such weapons, when the Vespid Stingwing moved or used Fly, so they don't actually even need to use Fly. I thought it was Fly related. No, they just need to move anything. They get Piercing 1. Piercing 1, not piercing crits. So if you have seen my previous video where I explained the core rules, now piercing is the new AP. So it's just AP 1, which is amazingly powerful. And now if the AP is on crits, like previous piercing, it will be stated as piercing crits. So that's just a little wording difference. But yeah, every single of your Vespids, their weapons gain AP 1 if they moved. They just need to move and fire with it. I think it will be only maybe possibly an issue for the heavy railgun if it's heavy, but other than that, you just move with your guys and your regular weapons, all of them have AP 1. Like if Custodes weren't deleted with all the rest, compendium kill teams, they would actually break their pants right now. I think it's scary. You get me why it's scary. However, to a little combat this super power, they rely on communion points. So they are very savage, aggressive, as the rules show them, as the rules clearly show, but they are a little harder to control. For that, players get communion points. And basically, they are needed to either attack, charge enemy that's not the closest enemy, or within 8 inches, I believe even. Yeah, when you shoot, you can only target an operative within 8 inches, so it's quite limiting unless you spend communion points. So honestly, I'm a little disappointed with them, but maybe let's just talk about the other. Yeah, so basically, if you want to charge enemy that's not the nearest operative, you need to spend a communion point. If you want to shoot operative further than 8 inches or not the closest one, you need to spend a communion point, and you have to spend a communion point to do a mission objective. Also, you can spend 1 communion point for a reroll, which seems like, well, they are so precious, why I would ever spend them for a reroll? That's because, first of all, with fly Vespids are really fast, and after the first turning point, I don't think you'll have any problem to just shoot the nearest operative and kill the enemy. And you have neurostimulants that I believe can turn off the doing mission actions with communion points only. You can do them for free. So yeah, the communion points, I don't think they are so necessary. You get D3 of them, +1 if your leader is alive, and you can take an upgrade equipment that allows you to reroll the D3. So you will have from 2 to 4 communion points. I think that is enough to actually still make Vespids a little too dangerous, but maybe I'm biased because I will be playing against them, so I'm already, a little defensive. Now their strategic ploys and firefight ploys, they are good. Strategy ploy, hardened exoskeleton, whenever a friendly Vespid stinging operative, excluding drone, most of them don't work on the drone, is fighting or retaliating, normal damage or 4 or more, inflicts 1 less damage, which I think is quite nice, as always, especially against higher damages that would, need only 2 hits to kill you, and it works for your whole turning points against all your operatives in melee only, but I think it's a nice bit of defense. Aerial agility. This, I believe, was the staple of the bat rep that GW previewed on their own YouTube channel. Whenever an operative is shooting a friendly Vespid Stingwing while counteracting or during an activation in which that shooting operative moved or was set up, roll 1d6. Whenever a normal success would inflict damage on a 5+, ignore the inflicted damage. A maximum of 1 attack dice can be ignored per shooting sequence. So basically, if operative that's shooting you as a Vespid player moved, was set up, or didn't remain stationary basically, and does not score a crit, you can try to save another time, because 5-up is like the same as their regular save, so you have double save. Even if you roll exceptionally well and say roll 3 5-ups, you can only save 1 of those, but still you can roll per any one of them. It's again 1 CP for your whole turning point for all your models. Quite nice. Airborne Predators. Whenever a friendly Vespid Stinging operative moves or uses fly during its activation, its weapons have balanced weapon rule until the end of the activation. This is another great one in my opinion, because for 1 CP you give all your models ability to reroll 1 to hit roll, which will always come handy. So you're basically spending 1 CP in advance, not to spend more for command rerolls. Always good. Sting is my personal favorite, because all Vespid Stingwings melee attacks gain the lethal 5+ and shock weapon special rule. Shock is now the stun rule, the old stun rule. Simply they split it up that shock is in melee, stun is in shooting, which means every time you score a crit, which now you score on a 5-up, you discard 1 enemy die in fighting, which is great on its own, but also remember that in fighting, crits can only be saved by crits. So with this you have much higher chance to simply bypass all enemy protection. Always now. Nice. Then we have the Firefight Ploys, which means the stratagem that you use ad hoc during the combat. Ocelli. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly Vespid Stingwings operative performs the shoot action during an activation in which that unit used fly. Until the end of the action, after selecting a valid target, treat that friendly operative as being on vantage terrain and 3 inches higher than it normally is, so it will obviously benefit from the vantage terrain. It's great because if you're only inch above the ground and you use this, you're now 4 inches above the ground, so you will have precision 2, so you auto-retain 2 hits. Quite nice if you want to really pinpoint something down. I think it's better than, and it also allows you to ignore cover. Basically, you have advantage, right? You have advantage, but you can use it to be really above the ground and benefit extra for the precision. Darting Flight, use this firefight ploy when a friendly Vespid Stingwing operative performs a reposition action. It can move additional d3 inches, but it cannot perform fight or shoot actions. So there is really limited, if any, options to, increase your charge distance, for example. So this no fighting rule is acceptable. I wish it was just -1 to hit in shooting, but it's probably, pushing the already good kill team over the edge. So maybe it's good that it's only that way. Again, you can still dash. You just make a normal move with fly, obviously, so you bypass all the terrain. So yeah, you can move extra d3 inches. Quite good in kill team at the smaller board. It may be crucial to get to an objective or do a secondary. Neutron Overload. Use this firefight ploy when you activate, when you resolve a critical success for a friendly Vespid Stingwings operative that is shooting with a neutron weapon during an activation in which it has moved or used fly. If the target is within 4 inches, inflict d3 additional damage. So this is quite powerful. Now, when I read Neutron Overlord, I would probably imagine, add 1 to the weapon's damage, make it hazardous or something like that. No, if you're really close and you obviously want to be really close, you just get d3 additional damage with no downside. You just spend 1 CP for it. Obviously it's on a critical, but it can actually be very important. It's a very good one. If you have an operative that would otherwise, survive on 1 wound, you can push this damage even further. And Vicious Venom, use this firefight ploy when a friendly Vespid Stingwings operative, excluding Oversight Drone obviously, is fighting and strikes with a critical success, inflict d3 additional damage. This is great, especially if you combine it with Sting, because now you're scoring crits on 5-up. So it's even easier to push it in fight. And remember, with Sting gaining shock, you're also discarding one of your opponent's defensive dice. So the Stingwings are really vicious in melee. Oh yeah, here you have the rules in a better quality if you want to save the ploys. Okay, so the datasheets themselves, obviously they are the new datasheets, but I think they are very intuitive for an old players as well. So the Vespids Strain Leader, he has just a Neuron Blaster. I need to check if it's... No. So actually the Neuron Blasters are even better than I remember them originally. They score only 3 damage base and 3 on a crit, but they have Devastating 2. So on a crit, they automatically score 2 wounds that the opponent can't save, which is great. 4 attacks, so it's pretty standard for a weapon. Obviously, the unlimited charge in Kill Team. Strain Leader is hitting on 3-ups, the rest I believe on a 4-up. That's kinda standard. And then the claws, they are a little more powerful, but the Vespids only have 3 attacks. So 3 attacks hitting on 4-up, damage 3 and 4. So basically it's a bolter damage in melee, but you can push it a little further with the Sting and Poisonous Venom. The Oversight Drone. The Oversight Drone. Okay, so this one is... I don't know, it does very little. It's quite annoying to deal with. And it's quite fast because it moves 8 inches. So yeah, we can see in real life that moving away from shapes to inches can change things a little. There are now more freedom in, setting the move. So the Oversight Drone can only fight in melee with its ram action, and it's very, very weak. No shooting. It has limited actions, so it can just move, charge, dash, fall back, fight, and do its special action, which I guess its main purpose. Also, in the rules, it has 1 APL less for contesting objectives, so it's only like objective secured 1, objective control 1, and also it ignores piercing rules when you shoot against it, which, considering it has save 2 up, means it's really hard to get rid of, but it has only 5 wounds. So you will probably ignore it to kill more Vespid Stingwings. It's aerial guidance, it's 1 AP action, and 1 friendly Vespid within 6 inches gains saturate special rule, which is basically the old ignore cover. Now we have the Vespid Long Sting, and this guy is one of the first really scary operatives here. It has neutron rail rifle, so it's like a rail rifle, but even scarier. It's 4 attacks. When it moves, it hits on a 4-up, damage is 4/4 with devastating 2 and neutron fragment. Both profiles have neutron fragment. If it remains stationary or dashes only, it hits on a 3-up and has lethal 5s, meaning it's much easier to score devastating wounds. And again, neutron fragment. What does the neutron fragment does? Well, think the Knife of Morgul from Lord of the Rings. Basically, if you wound enemy operative, he will be losing D3 damage each activation forever. Like there is no, if you roll 1, it loses the neutron fragment, it burns out. No, until the end of the game, he will be losing D3 wounds each activation. So if he even activates 1 and pick important target, it's as good as dead. He's still not the scariest for me, at least. The next one is Vespid Shade Strain, and he's basically a ghost kill with wings, which makes him even more ridiculous. So in Kill Team there is no lone op rule per se, but he gets one in his datasheet. First of all, his weapons, I believe they are quite normal. He has basically short range neuron blaster, 8 inches, so no 6 inches like some pistols in previous edition. Still devastating 2, still damage 3/3, you can see it here, hitting on 4-ups. He also has neutron grenade, which I think is also quite a decent weapon. It's basically the same as his neutron string, but shorter range with blast. So obviously quite good, also with saturate. Okay, sorry for that, I had to take care of my cat. So Vespid Shade Strain. So he has neutron grenade, shorter range, blast 2, still devastating 2, limited to 1 use only, but with saturate, so ignores cover. Then he has the ghost streak, and this one is actually the main thing. I hate him so much, apart from the fact that he also has 3-up save. So 3-up save in Kill Team is always good. He has only 9 wounds, but still for most weapons that means you need to wound him successfully 3 times. But with Ghost Streak, if he has Conceal Order and he's further than 6 inches from any opponent, that opponent can't even target him. No rules, nothing. Only if he's like a secondary target from a blast weapon. Yeah, he has lone operative 6 inches. Great. If that wasn't enough, he's also camouflaged. Whenever this operative is shooting, whenever an enemy operative is shooting this operative, ignore the piercing weapon rule, of course, so 3-up with no piercing, and all cover saves are retained as critical successes. How great. Yeah, and this rule has no effect if this operative is not selected as the valid target, so it's a secondary target from blast, for example. So this guy is almost unkillable. Thankfully, his weapons are not the most powerful here in this roster, but still a guy with 3-up save, he can, go undetected until he's close enough to toss a grenade, then charge you, and with a 3-up save, he will be very, very hard to deal with, especially since you can't really shoot at him. So I already prepare a plan for him. Then we have the Vespid Skyblast, another guy with a ridiculously powerful weapon. And yeah, weapon has regular stats like a neutron blaster. So 4 attacks, hitting on 4-ups, damage 3/3 with devastating 2. It has blast, So it's like the previous grenades except unlimited range, and he can shoot all the time. It's also not heavy. Interesting, so it's not heavy, which means it will obviously benefit from the neutron general rule. If he moves, he he has piercing 1. And it has a special rule called neutron bombardment. Place one of your neutron fallout markers within the primary target's control range. What does the neutron fallout do? Well, once during each enemy operative's activation, as soon as it is within 2 inches of one of your neutron fallout markers, or more because they are not cumulative, inflict D3 damage on it. So it's basically like the neutron fragment from the long sting, but our area on the board. It also does not disappear. It just remains there forever. So if your opponent secures objective and you shoot at him, you don't even need to kill him. If you shoot at him with the Sky Blast, you can then put neutron fallout marker, and everything close to it will get D3 damage as soon as it is activated within 2 inches of it, or come close to it. It's bonkers. Thankfully, as all Vespids, it only has 5 up saves and 9 wounds, so you should be able to kill it, but with their agility, it depends on the opponent, honestly. Then we have Vespid Swarm Guard. He's your flamer guy, and as you can see, the flamer, thankfully, does not have neutron technology. It's a regular flamer. It has range 8 inches, saturate, and torrent 2. I assume all flamers will have it, but it has a second profile called Sky Torch. What it does is basically you mark below your base when you start your move, then you make a fly reposition and your move, and the corridor from those 2 bases, everything in that corridor is hit with the regular 2 up, 4 attacks, damage 3/3. Yeah, it is nice. It's nice. I think it is the best flamer we saw so far. Flamers are not really the most amazing weapon, but still, hitting on 2 ups, it can be good to torch bigger kill teams. Yeah, just like that. Finally, we have Vespid Warriors. Neutron Blasters, 4 attack, hitting on 4 ups, damage 3/3 with devastating 2. Remember, if they move, it gains AP1 basically. And they also have Warrior Instincts. Whenever this operative is shooting, if you don't spend communion points during that sequence, its Neuron Blaster has the accurate 1 weapon rule until the end of the sequence. So, sequence. So, if you're shooting with your warrior against the closest target, if you're not bothering spending communion points, which honestly I don't think you need to do so much, you auto-hit with one of those hits. Just like that. Yeah, Vespids are scary. Then we have the faction equipment. They are stimulants, all of them, and I think they're all pretty good. As far as I'm aware, I think each neurostimulant works on all your Vespids. So you basically choose a neurostimulant, or 4 of them, and all your Vespids take it before the game or whatever. So neurostimulant in the ready step of each strategy phase. When determining how many communion points you get, you can roll 2d3 and pick your amount. So always nice reassurance. It's not once per game. It's for the whole game. You just roll 2 dice and have higher chance of getting maximum communion points. Then we have Accelerant Stimulant. Whenever friendly Vespid Stingwing operative, excluding Oversight drone, performs charge or dash action, it can move additional 1 inches. If it uses fly for this action, you can set it back 1 inch further. Yeah, 1 extra inch of movement. Thankfully not to the normal move, but I think this is one of the only rules in the game that I'm aware of that gives you bonuses to the charge. Yeah, they have basically 9-inch charge. That's a lot. Convergence Stimulant. Once per turning point, a friendly Vespid Stingwing operative can perform the pickup marker or a mission action without you spending communion points. This is what I was talking about. I think you should always take this, because thanks to this you're not tied to the communion point so much. And yeah, with, for example, the objective markers, there are only 3 of them, so you don't really need that many communion points on them, honestly, especially with this equipment. And finally, Aggression Stimulant. Whenever a friendly Vespid Stingwing, excluding Oversight drone operative, is fighting, its melee weapons have the ceaseless weapon rule, which means you can reroll 1 selected result. For example, you can reroll all the 2s or all the 3s or all the ones. Yeah, the designer's commentary, I'm sorry guys, is a little blurry, so I won't bother reading it for you. Apologies. But yeah, I think you can clearly see all the rules. I will now go back to the Tempestus Aquilons, so you can feel free to pause and make a screenshot if you're interested in them. Okay, Tempestus Aquilons. This is my kill team, the kill team that I will be painting and filling in our upcoming battle report. And a fun fact, guys, we are so excited for this edition and we want to prepare and make sure we know the rules, because from the comments from the previous video, I know that we are not there yet. We will be playing Tempestus Aquilons versus Vespids Stingwings with our other kill teams. So for example, Vespids Stingwings will be, I don't know if you can see it, but Striking Scorpions, the Aquilons will be played by Kasrkin, because both kill teams have right base sizes. So we will start learning soon. So Tempestus Aquilons, really cool kill team. This is the one I will be playing. Obviously quite excited about this. I'm just not sure if their power level is up to the Vespids Stingwings, but again, this is only on paper, so maybe they'll turn out really good. Although you can check the bat rep with them against the Vespids Stingwings, so they don't seem at least as killy as the Vespids. But let's check the roster. First of all, you can take one Tempestor and you can equip him either with a Hotshot Las Pistol and a power weapon, or a Relic Bolt Pistol and a Chainsword. And basically Relic Bolt Pistol is like a power weapon in shooting, so it has little hits. So yeah, you basically choose if you want him to be more killy in melee or in shooting. You can also give him a Hotshot Las Carabine, but I think it's quite pointless. Then you take 9 Tempestus Aquilon operatives, and one of them can be the Servo Sentry. So yeah, I need to check, but I believe that leaves you with 1 spare Aquilon Trooper, which again is always nice. However, unlike the Vespids Stingwings, here we have some mutually exclusive, or you have 4 options of which you can take only 3. So you can always take Grenadier, Gunfighter, Prosecutor, which I will actually definitely be taking, and Troopers, but you can only take 3 of the options of Gunner with Melta Carbine, Gunner with Plasma Carbine, Marksman, and the Servo Sentry. I'm leaning towards leaving the Marksman behind to just have a regular Trooper, because I think both gunners are really good, especially with the drop side rules. The Melta guy has a play, and the Servo Sentry is actually quite decent in my opinion. At least I want to test it out because I'm quite excited about that one in particular. Okay, so the faction rules, they all have graph shoots, which means that they can ignore vertical distance while dropping, which makes sense. That's how parachutes works, almost. This is cool. Their main faction rule is drop insertion, however, so when you're starting kill team game, you basically set up your armies in 3 groups, 3 thirds, and with Tempestus Aquilons, you can place 2 of those groups in drop insertion, which in return allows you to place a marker in your deployment zone for those 2 groups, or 1 if you're placing only 1. And then at the beginning of each turning point, you can move this marker 4 inches, and each trooper can drop anywhere on the board horizontally 3 inches away from the marker. The regular troopers, they can drop 4 inches, and I believe there is a stratagem to drop 5 inches. So it's actually quite nice. There is also a, I believe, ploy or not ploy, equipment that allows you to move your marker once again. At the end of each turning point, the markers, one of the markers disappears. So yeah, but if you drop your troopers turn 2, that means that your marker could have moved 8 inches in total so far. So you can drop quite deep into enemy deployment. You obviously can't drop into the fight, with the exception of Precursor, who can. And Precursor is actually my secret weapon against the Shade Strain, because yeah, she or he is just quite great, exciting operative. I'll show you the rules in a moment. And obviously after the drop, you are treated as having made reposition action, so you lose 1 AP and you can't charge. So that is as usual. You can read the rest. And the ploys. So strategy ploys are sudden offensive, which there's a lot of counting here. Count the number of friendly Tempestus Aquilon operatives that aren't incapacitated, then half the result, rounding up to give you X. Until the end of their activation, friendly Tempestus Aquilon operatives weapons have the balanced weapon special rule if they are the first operatives activated this turning point equal to X. So for example, if you have 5 operatives, the first 3 friendly operatives activated will benefit and have balanced rule. I think that the Vespids have a similar rule to give all your models balanced, which doesn't seem fair, does it? But okay, it's nice bonds. Maintain momentum. Whenever friendly Tempestus Aquilon operative is shooting or fighting a ready enemy operative, its weapons have the severe weapon rule, which I believe let you retain crit from a normal crit if you don't retain any other crits. So if you retain just regular hits, you can change one to a crit. Cool. Eye above. Select one enemy operative. That operative and all other enemy operatives within 3 inches of it gain one of your detected tokens until the end of the turning point. Whenever an enemy operative with a detected token is shooting a friendly Aquilon, you can reroll one of your defense die, and when he's fighting in melee, a friendly Aquilon, one of your blocks can be allocated to block 2 unresolved successes instead of 1. So it's cool, but again, you need to target the enemy, not yourself, so then enemy can act accordingly and maybe hide those operatives, not use them and attack your models. Yeah, it's interesting strategic ploy because it's defensive one that you use offensively kinda against your opponent. Interesting, but I wish it was a little better. Drop and secure. Whenever you select one marker, whenever determining control of that marker, the total APL stat of friendly Tempestus Aquilon operatives that contested is 1 higher. Well, at least as long as your operatives actually contested, then whenever a friendly Tempestus Aquilon operative is within fringe of that marker, add 1 to the attack stat of its melee weapons to a maximum of 4, which means that your Tempestor and Precursor won't benefit from it. But still, they are not as exciting as the Vespid ones, but they can have their uses. Firefight ploys, though, are a little better. Hot Drop, for example, use this firefight ploy after rolling attack dice for a friendly Tempestus Aquilon that has landed during this activation. And so you already know that you missed with some, and instead of spending 1 CP to reroll 1 die, you can use this, and if the target's within 6 inches of it, you can reroll any of your attack dice, which I think is self-explanatory. If you drop with a Melta that has only 6 inches of range, I think this is... I'm keeping this for the Melta gunner to drop him on my opponent, reroll everything and just obliterate them. Adjust coordinates. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly Tempestus Aquilon operative lands. You can set it within 5 inches of one of your drop markers, obviously horizontally only, taking precedence over the normal distance requirements. It cannot perform the dash, fight or shoot action during this turning point. So you can't shoot, you can't move in any way, but yeah, 5 inches from the marker that's already moved 4 inches from your deployment zone. This is quite big radius. You can secure objective with it, for example. So it can be very crucial. It's quite nice rule. And also I believe you can set marker. Yeah, the only limited actions are dash, fight and shoot. Okay, Tempestus exemplars use this firefight ploy during a friendly Tempestus Aquilon operative's activation, excluding the servo sentry, and any operative with an APL stat greater than 2. During that activation can perform the pickup marker, place marker or mission action for 1 AP less. Quite good. And finally, Progina is also amazing. Use this firefight ploy when a friendly Tempestus Aquilon operative, excluding servo sentry, is activated. It regains 2d3 lost wounds, and during that activation you can ignore any changes to its APL stat. I think it's fantastic one. Obviously there's high chance that your operatives will die because they are human, but if you're, for example, stunned, wounded, you just pop this and you're free to go. Okay, so the datasheets themselves. Aquilon Tempestor. Sadly, he's only hitting on 3 ups, which makes his last carabine even more pointless. But he can take quite decent weapons. The all the hot shot weapons, they have damage 3/4, hitting on 3-ups, which is basically a bolter equivalent. Pistol has 8 inch of range, but with pistol you can take power weapon, 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, damage 4/6 with lethal 5s, so very decent there. Or you can take a chainsword with damage 4/5 and relic bolt pistol, which, as I mentioned, has lethal 5, but still only 8 inches of range. It's okay. However, he has also a free action point limit, which is important, I forgot to mention it. All of the Aquilons have 4-up save except the sentry, and he gets 1 extra wound compared to rest, so he has 9. His special ability is Tempestus Veteran. Basically, you can either use Firefight Ploy for 0 CP if you target the Tempestor himself, or you can use on him for 0 CP the command reroll. Always handy, always appreciated. And then he has his unique action command: select 1 friendly Tempestus Aquilon, visible and within 6 inches, and he gets 1 extra APL. It's cool, especially since the Tempestor has 3 action points. It will come handy. Aquilon Grenadier. This is the guy with grenades. He has Melta Bomb, which has only range 3 inches, but it's devastating 3, heavy reposition only. This is, I think, the first instance when we see a real change to the heavy rule, because he can actually make normal move. He can't make a normal move and dash with it, but it's still cool. It's also AP 2, so piercing 2, so it's quite scary. It does not have blast, which saddens me, but with damage 5/3 and devastating 3, it can actually clear one enemy. So I think it's cool. Other than that, he has his Hotshot Last Pistol and a Grenadier ability. This operative can use frag, crack, smoke, or stun grenades from universal equipment. Doing so doesn't count toward your limited uses. And whenever this operative is using a frag or crack grenade, improve the hit on those weapons by 1. So not only he's more efficient with it, he doesn't have any limit written. So it's not that he can once per game. No, he just can every turning point, which I think is nice, and I'm considering taking him just for that. Then we have Aquilon Gunfighter. He's a guy with 2 Hotshot Last Pistols, which is very cool. Ask Cypher. When they're focused, they obviously have the same stat as the regular Hotshot Last Pistols, but if you shoot them focused, they have the ceaseless and rending special rules. Quite nice. Or you can use them as a salvo. You hit on 4s instead of 3s then, but salvo lets you select up to 2 valid targets and you shoot 1 by 1 to both of them. He also can use those weapons in fighting as a melee weapon. Then they have ceaseless, 4 attacks, 3/4, quite better than fists. Also, he has the rule Gunfight. Whenever an enemy operative within 8 inches of this operative shoots this operative, keep track of each attack dice that is discarded as a fail after the action before incapacitated operatives are removed, including this guy. So even if he dies, he can still use it. This operative can perform a free shoot action, so change its order to engage to do so, but it can only target the enemy that was shooting at him, and only with focused Hotshot Last Pistols. And you can only roll as many dice as the opponent missed with. Oh, +1. So yeah, I think it's a really cool rule. I think he will see a play. I like him, honestly, at least for a rule of cool. Then we have the main damage dealers, Aquilon Gunners. They can have either Melta Carbine or Plasma Carbine. Plasma Carbine obviously can be supercharged. It's quite powerful on its own. Obviously, Plasma Carbine has unlimited range. Piercing 1. If you overcharge it, you increase the base damage by 1 and it gets a lethal 5. So it's not as powerful as it used to be, because the piercing still stays at piercing 1, but there is now less chance of killing yourself, I suppose, with hot. So yeah, I think Plasma is still the go-to option, but Melta Carbine with the drop rules is just perfect. 4 attacks hitting on 3-ups, damage 6/3, but with devastating 4 and piercing 2. This will eliminate targets so easily, especially if you pop the hot drop on him. He will just delete things for sure. Piercing 2 means that enemy has only 1 save. Yeah, and base damage 6 means even if you don't score any crits, you just move through enemy like hot knife through butter. Aquilon Marksman. He's okay. His sniper rifle has either profile mobile, which is regular hotshot carbine, or stationary, in which case he has heavy with no ability to move even with dash, but then he can score devastating freeze and is hitting on 2 ups. Cute, but not really super powerful damage dealer. Or he can, once per game, the first time he's activated, he can shoot out of concealed position. So he has the third profile concealed position. This is the reason I would probably take him, but since he's competing with the gunners and the sentry, I'm probably cutting him off. Like, he's still not bad, he's quite decent sniper, but I just prefer the other ones. Now, Aquilon Precursor. Aquilon Precursor is the one operative I'm not leaving home without. Probably I'm a little biased because I think that she's just too damn cool, and I also love melee. So Aquilon Precursor has hotshot last pistol, like most guys. She then has Tempestus Dagger. 4 attacks, hitting on 3 ups, damage 3/4 with lethal 5. So it's a mini power weapon. However, Vicious Night Fighter rule allows this operative to resolve 2 hits before opponent. So if she charges someone, she can strike twice before he can even react, which can be really quite powerful. And the dynamic rule, whenever this operative performs the fight or shoot action, it can immediately perform a free dash action afterwards. It can do so even if perform the charge action during this activation, but can only use the remaining distance it had from the charge action to a maximum of 3, of course, because it's a dash. But I think it will be mostly used in shooting. So again, quite nice. You shoot and dash for free. Aquilon, and also the Precursor can drop directly from the drop zone, from the drop site. So she can drop directly into fight. In my opinion, quite amazing. Okay, Aquilon Servo Sentry. I like this little puppy. It has 10 wounds, so the most of the whole team. It has 3 up save, so again, the most of all. Only 4 inches of movement and 2 action point limit. But its role turret allows this operative to perform 2 shoot actions during its activation, which I think is very nice. You just place it somewhere that's a little in cover and with engage order, and you shoot twice every turn until it dies. Simple. It can be equipped with Flamer, don't. Grenade Launcher can be good, but I think the Hotshot Volley Gun is the best option because it has the focused on or sweeping version. The sweeping profile has Steel Torrent 1, so if you have 2 enemy operatives next to each other, you can try to target them, but other than that, Hotshot Volley Gun, the focused one, which you can shoot twice with the turret rule, still piercing, crits 1, damage 3/4, but 5 attacks. It helps with its 4-up ballistic skill. And it has the rule Machine, so it can't dash, it only can dash, fall back, reposition or shoot. It can't charge, it can't fight. Yeah, so if enemy charges you, you have to waste your 2 action points to fall back, basically, because it can't even strike back. Finally, we have Aquilon Troopers, Hotshot, Last Carbine and Fist, so nothing really amazing, but rapid insertion allows them to make a free reposition action if you do not drop them from the sky. Reposition, not dash, so they can actually move their full 6 inches. However, they must end this action wholly within 3 inches from your deployment zone. So they still can scout a little bit. I think it's quite a good rule for board control, and they have swift landing. So when it lands, you can set it up within 4 inches of one of your drop markers instead of 3, which is also cool. Like, they are the mobility utility tools, the action monkeys, and they are good at it. So the faction equipment, Tempestus Daggers, you give all your guys a better weapon to melee, except Servo Sentry, 3 attacks, hits on 4-up, damage 3/4, so basically +1 damage. It's probably worth because it's for all your guys, but not something amazing. Combat steams, you can ignore any changes to the move stat of friendly Tempestus Aquilon operatives from being injured. So that's also useful if you want to keep on, the momentum and controlling the board. Drop Augury is my personal auto-include. Once during the battle, when a friendly Tempestus Aquilon operative that's set up above is activated, before expanding or landing that operative, you can move one of your drop markers again. However, it cannot be moved closer to your opponent's drop zone. It can be moved closer to your opponent's, can't be their drop zone, so we can probably move it sideways. So extra 4 inches can be very crucial for dropping your, Melta guy, precursor, etc. And remote overseer is another one that I think is auto-include. Once during the battle, when rolling off to decide initiative, you can reroll your d6. So absolutely great here. So they start with kind of mediocre strategy ploys, but firefight ploys, faction equipment, and I think that some of their rules is really, really hot. Whew, I hope, guys, I didn't bore you too much. I talked quite long. Believe me, I am really, really excited to play with Tempestus Aquilons against Vespids. I think this will be an amazing game. It will be quite difficult for the Aquilons because they are a little fragile. They don't do that much damage, so it will require more, strategy maybe, or at least I'm telling that myself, preparing for a loss. Maybe I will absolutely cramp Peter. You can check it here on our channel. If you haven't seen, I've posted a video about all the core rules. It's available just like this one. You can see them while I'm talking, so you don't even need to listen to me, honestly. Yeah, if you like this video, give this video a like and subscribe to see the bat rep. I will be really happy to have you in our audience. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye bye.